Welcome back to another edition and another great episode of Streetpreneur Podcast, the podcast for innovative entrepreneurs. I'm back today. I have a very special guest. We want to talk about kid entrepreneurs. She's the first entrepreneur and business coach that we've had here on the podcast to talk about entrepreneurship for children. I think that's very important, especially living in the day and times that we are. And kids are getting involved in so many different activities that are not healthy, are not good, and not productive for them. And I'm just welcome to meet this special guest. And she's the first person that I met that come to me. So I'm really proud and really honored to have her here today to talk about programs for children that deals with entrepreneurship, where she specializes in teaching. And I want you to definitely tune in and definitely take notes and also get your children involved in the entrepreneur programs that she has to offer. My guest is Mrs. Nyanna Harris.
Hey, y'all.
Thank you. And
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, we're definitely honored to have you out today. I know that you're recognized. First, let me do a formal introduction. Okay. She's international recognized as a business coach for kidpreneurs. Her organization teaches kids in business. She walks them through the process of the writing process. She shows them how to use AI and also does illustration and helps them publish their own books as well. She has students in 6 states, while her products have been shipped to over 13 states and 3 countries. And I want to welcome you to Streetpreneur Podcast.
Okay, come on, introduction. Thank you so much. Yes, it sounds good hearing it from somebody else. You really don't think you've done all that until somebody else says it. So thank you.
Yeah, you've done a lot. That's what we do here on Streetpreneur Podcast. Just tell us a little bit about where you're from and your background, and just how did you overall get into the process of wanting to teach children entrepreneurship?
Okay.
Tell me a little bit where you're from.
Again, thank you so much for having me. My name is Nyanna Harris. Mm-hmm. I am born and raised here in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm a Grady baby. We are far and few in between. And I used to be a school teacher, so I taught for 10 years at 5 for Clayton County Public Schools and 5 for the Atlanta Area School for the Deaf. So yes, I do know sign language. Everybody always asks. Mm-hmm. It is. So that's why I sit with my hands in my lap, because they'll be moving all over the place. Mm-hmm. At the time when I was at the School for the Deaf, I taught a unit to my students on how to create jobs for themselves. And I was like, wait a minute, my kids at the time did not have a voice outside of using their hands. And we were incredibly successful. I lost my dad that year. I had a baby that year, and I did not return to the school system. Mm-hmm. So I said, reflecting back while I was home, getting that baby together, I said, you know what, let me see if I could do what I did for my students, for just ordinary kids who may have an interest in entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. And my oldest daughter was my blueprint. So she was the reason it started. Mm-hmm. She is a natural baker from scratch. She found stuff in my house I didn't know I had. She was baking, making pancakes and coloring them red and putting vanilla and cinnamon. And I was like, girl, who taught you that? Mm-hmm. And she was like, I just know how to do it. And at the time, she was 7. Okay. And I was like, how does a 7-year-old just know how to do things like that? Right. She could use a pastry dish. She could use the piping tips. She could use all of it. Right. And she baked a cake when she was 9. Mm-hmm. And just being a mom celebrating her, I posted on my social media, halfway saying my kid is better than yours, but but I posted just bragging on this 2-layer cake that she baked. And in the comments, inside of the congratulatory comments, people began to say if they could place an order. So her entrepreneurship journey started just because she was doing something that she loved to do. Right. And when I sat her down and explained that, Destiny, you could make money and people want to pay you to bake a cake. Right. And she was like, are they going to pay me real money? Mm-hmm. So I had to put my teacher hat on and kind of just draw up a plan for it to work for her. And when it began to work for her, that's when other parents began to reach out and say, can you do this for my baby? Yeah. And so being, an educator and understanding business, I said, maybe this is something that everybody should use or all children should be privy to. So that's kind of how the
How
journey
it started.
began.
Yeah. And what are the age groups of children that you work with?
The youngest entrepreneur I have right now is 8. She is an author, and the oldest is 16. But our age range on our website goes from 8 to 18. So I just currently don't have any 18-year-olds. The 2 that I had, they are now in college, and they've reimagined their businesses to do something different. But they are still entrepreneurs. They just are in a different field.
And just kind of walk us through, I contact you, my child has a special gift, maybe just say lemonade.
Okay.
And she sells lemonades on the weekend, but she wants to transform that into something to mass produce it and maybe sell it to stores, retail stores. Not just mom and pop businesses, small businesses. Just kind of walk us through the concept of your program. I bring her to you, and for us teaching her marketing, advertising, things of that nature. Just walk us through the steps of the program when a child first contact you or a parent brings their child to you.
Right. So that is works 2 ways. So about 72% of the students that come to me don't have a business idea.
Okay.
Their mom seen an advertisement and they said, may I schedule a consultation? I think this is something that my child would be interested in.
Right.
And so I take those students. We have the top 25 businesses that you can start for under $25.
Right.
I mean, under $100, excuse me. So that kind of uses that as a guide so that they can maybe see something they like or kind of build on something that they see listed, and then we go from there. So we teach them just starting from the beginning what the vocabulary is and what the language is and how to save and how to market and how to reinvest and how to pay your parents back, because I want my investment back too, right? So we go through all of those things. But if you are a child that has a business, we want to just make sure that you have it set it up in such a way that you are going to be successful. So some of those kids don't have a marketing strategy. They're sharing the social media, so they don't have, a separate one for their business. They don't have a plan. They aren't tracking their sales, so they don't have, the frame of mind to say, this is how much money I made this month, or this is what my profits and my losses are. So that set of students will go through the same as a beginner student, but just, maybe they'll just skip down to step 3 or step 4, depending on how far they are established in their existing businesses.
Right.
And then we just walk them through. We make sure that they have what they need. I give them, as a part of the community, we make sure that they have access to at least 3 money-making opportunities every month. So whether it's an exhibitor event or a speaking engagement or anything like that, I make sure that I have already vetted those companies or organizations. I make sure that, if you sell lemonade, it's not going to be 5 other people there selling lemonade. So, you will make sure that you make your investment back. They pay vendor fees like adults do. I just try to make sure that
they're getting real world.
They get the real world experiences, but on the other side of that, I also, because I'm a mom myself, I want to make sure that they still understand that they can still be a child, right? So if you don't want to do 2 events this week, that's fine. If you want to go to your girlfriend's birthday party over making money, I let them make those decisions so they won't say, well, my mama told me I had to. No. This is your business and you are in control. So I make sure that they have that opportunity as well.
Okay. Is your business a nonprofit or for-profit?
Yes, our authorship program, so Teach Kids Business, what I'm wearing now, that is our nonprofit. And so that's where all of our our authors come through that program. Business Owners of Tomorrow, that is the for-profit organization.
Yeah. Tell us about your author program. I know you mentioned it twice.
The author program is nice. So what we do is we walk those
students mostly
students
children's
through.
books, or?
Well, no, they write what they want. I don't skew them anyway. Most of the kids that write books, they already have an idea, or they already have a concept. They know what they want to write about.
Okay.
So as a school teacher, I just want to make sure there are no comma splices, okay? There are no broken sentences, no run-on sentences. We lay it out together. We make sure that it's edited. And then I show them how to use artificial intelligence to create their illustrations, because a lot of times we just don't have the funds to use a publishing company or to use an actual illustrator. So it's just, a shortcut for them to be able to do that. And then I show them how to self-publish as well. So once they're done with those 3 steps, we launch. We just did a launch for Black Children's Book Week, and we had 3 students who launched their books that weekend, and they all sold 100 books in 2 hours.
That's wonderful. That's amazing. Tell us about, who are some of your top students that really achieved and went on to achieve success that has came through your program you can remember? Maybe just 1 or 2 that really sticks out in your mind that really did something amazing.
Okay, I can give you Nevaeh. Nevaeh lives in Opelousas, Louisiana.
Okay.
She came to me over the summer. Her parents, they flew here to our summer camp that we have over the summer. They bought their own flights, their own hotels. They paid for camp. And she came the week that I was doing book writing. So she wrote 3 books and started a business in 5 days. So she was on an accelerated program, but she came here. I flew back for her launch. We launched for her birthday, and the entire city of Opelousas was there. The mayor, the police chief, the fire chief. So she's an artist, so she paints. And adults, we go to sip and paint. Well, she has a mobile trailer that goes to different schools and daycare centers and YMCAs, and kids get on there, they paint. And she draws something up, they paint, and then they get off.
Go from there.
I'm proud of her. And then let's say my oldest daughter, Destiny. Destiny is she was probably the first person to make a lot of money, but she's a baker. Right, so we love food, and people shop with their eyes. So she averaged about $250 a week.
That's good.
11.
Right.
And she's 17 now, so she does.
It's only going to increase.
Right. She teaches her own classes now, and she has virtual stuff. She's an author as well. So.
Okay. What are some of the challenges you faced with teaching entrepreneurship to kids?
Finding them.
Has there been any challenges finding them?
Finding them.
Right.
So it's just so hard. Usually I'm at a career day and I'm exposing the children to entrepreneurship, but they have to go home and regurgitate that information to their parents, and it doesn't always come out the way that they received it.
Right.
So just finding the children who are interested and then having them to follow through.
You doing the advertising on social media? Or
we advertise everywhere. Yes, we
Right.
advertise everywhere.
Okay.
So we do Facebook. We go live on TikTok. I try to be all the places where I know kids are.
They are.
Right.
Okay. And what keeps you motivated to doing this every day? I know you're a teacher, so I'm sure that's
right.
the biggest
I'm an
gift of all.
educator by trade, and just when you get those text messages saying, "Miss Nye, I made money today," or "Miss Nye, I got a speaking opportunity today," or "Miss Nye, I sold 20 books yesterday." Like that is what fuels me, because I know that they're going to be successful. I know that their parents are proud of them. And just to see them light up, like when those messages and those emails come to me, it's like, okay, I really am doing a great work, and the kids are proud of themselves and are able to see what they've been able to accomplish. So that makes me happy.
Okay. What about funding your program? Has that been kind of difficult? Or are you all attracting sponsors? Are you reaching out to corporate sponsors, or what is? Just kind of tell us a little bit about breakdown as far
don't
as.
Make me break down funding is so hard. Right. It's so hard. I just at the event where I met you, I met a grant writer there, so we are going to acquire her to help us with funding. Okay. But just reaching out. Well, okay. Example. Last year, 9 of my students were invited to the Ultra Education Business Fair in London.
Okay.
And we had to fly there.
And the cost was.
The cost was. And so we ended up, shout out to Derek Bozeman on the radio. He had me on the radio for 7 days in a row. And his listeners donated $8,000 in 7 days.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And then the students, and now we fundraised for from November of 23 all the way until the day before we left.
Okay.
And every single sponsor, one person, Citizens Trust Bank, gave us a small donation of $250, but nobody else. Nobody else. But we still made it though.
Right.
We went out there, we did what we needed to do, but it's just really, really hard.
This an annual event or
yes, they asked us to come back this year, but we just don't have the funds to go. If somebody gonna pay.
Well, I hope my listeners out there listening, all the entrepreneurs that are on this podcast and watching this podcast today, please make a donation.
Please. Right. We used Give Butter last year, and all the kids.
Had you used any of the fundraising platforms?
Yes, we used Give Butter. So that was the platform we used, and they didn't charge
GoFundMe or
no. Well, Give Butter was. They didn't charge us. Like GoFundMe, you have to pay like a fee or so. But Give Butter, you just give a donation. And so we just gave a donation that wasn't exhaustive of the funds that we raised. So we were able to give the kids $350 worth of spending money and things like that when they got there. So they had a great time, and it was everybody except for Destiny's first time in London. All of their parents who came, it was their first time there as well. We did a day trip to Paris, so we had a great time.
Right. And as far as growing your program, as far as scaling the program, do you have any plans?
Yeah, I got a lot of plans, Fred.
Or what's something new you want to add, or a new particular service that you've been thinking about, or a new program?
Well, what we did do, and what we've had for a while, we've had our Teach Kids Business workbook and our coloring book. And now I just haven't promoted like I should have. And I actually just came out with volume 2 of those books. And so we're going to do a campaign for the month of June to try to get those books out to at least 1,000 kids. We want to make sure that at least 1,000 kids have their hands on those books in that bundle, so that they can have that exposure as well. The workbook walks them through what they would do at the camp. And then the coloring books are for, the first one was for our younger audience, those under 8, just to acclimate them with the vocabulary. And then volume 2 is we had the characters to grow up a bit, and we scaled the vocabulary. So, instead of save and spend, it's credit and debit, right? So it's a different language in the other book. But I think it's something that we're going to make our best attempt to try for this month coming up. Okay.
And as far as pitching to investors, is that something that you thought about?
I have, but I've never done. Oh, now our kids have pitched. So every year annually on November 1st, that's International Kidpreneur Day. So if you didn't know that, write that down.
I didn't know that.
Right. So this is year 7.
What's the date again?
November 1st. And this year it happens to be on a Saturday. So every year I host the event here in Atlanta. So we've partnered with the National Association for Kidpreneurs. That's Tamika. She's based out of Washington, D.C. So we partnered with her. And so the International Kidpreneur Day, that's her day, right? So I take over the Georgia portion. I have a 4-hour pop-up shop. So all of our young entrepreneurs who have businesses and those who will start businesses this year, they will launch their businesses at that event, right? So it's open to the community. We've had bunches of mayors and council people and all kinds of people just go through and they buy all the kids' stuff. And then at night, we flip the room and we have a gala, red carpet, black tie. So we have a seated dinner. I give the kids awards. One of the students from the previous year is always the keynote. We have a youth DJ, a youth photographer, a youth chef. It's completely youth-led. So that's November 1st. That's coming up. Everybody need to come because it really is an experience. I had one mom to say, you gave them glass awards. And I was like, yeah, they deserve glass awards. Right. Like these kids are going to school. They have chores and they're running businesses. They're doing things that adults do. Right. Why would I give them a piece of paper?
That's true. Yeah. I want to touch on AI. Is AI, your personal opinion, do you think AI is enhancing or is it replacing, as far as study habits are concerned, as far as reading and being able to, reading and writing skills? Do you think AI is replacing what children should be doing naturally?
I'm out of the classroom. So I can only tell you by what I do.
So that also translates into the
Right.
business because they have to research, they have to read about that.
Right.
business.
They have to read about it. So I don't let them write their books with AI. And I know some people do other classes that I've taken, they show them how to do it, but I don't do that. I like them to use their own brain cells to read,
That's what-
to write. I just think it's important. You know, now when they go to college, they may decide not to go that way, but I just want them to do the things the old-fashioned way, if you will. And so we only use it for illustrations as a part of my program. Is it taken away? I know my nephew in college uses it for scholarships, so maybe yes, but a lot of people still don't even know that it exists.
That's true.
So, yeah.
Okay. How can they get in contact with you for those that have children, aspiring entrepreneurs who are watching this today?
Oh, go to our website. It's businessownersoftomorrow.com. You can call us at 404-649-1451, or you can email at info@businessownersoftomorrow.com. We are on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok as Business Owners of Tomorrow, and we're on YouTube as Teach Kids Business.
Okay. And what are the top 5 entrepreneur ventures that you see children like the most, want to get into?
Candles.
Okay.
I don't have anybody that does lemonade.
Yeah.
No.
I just thought of that.
I know, but I
old
want
school.
somebody so bad, but they don't come. So we have
What juices? A lot of kids now are getting into juicing.
Yeah, they do that. So I have candles. I have baking. I have a lot of artists. I have 3 or 4 artists. And then I have one little girl, my youngest daughter. She is a seamstress. She makes pillows, shorts, and swimsuits, which that's what she make. And I don't know, maybe becoming an author.
Okay.
Yeah, so those would be the top 5 that we have right now.
Right.
Of products, but for services, I have a lot of DJs. I have a lot of photographers.
Okay.
And I have two chefs.
Okay. Any advice for parents who are thinking about getting their children involved in entrepreneurship program, or who are really just on the fence about it and don't really know because they're not entrepreneurs themselves? So any advice you want to recommend to parents?
I would advise you to at least let them try. Don't ever discourage them if they say they want to be an entrepreneur. Just say, okay, let's try it. And I also want to caution you, too, because they are children, and children change their minds. So it may take 2 or 3 different things for them to know what they want to do. And you just have to be okay with it. My youngest daughter changed 3 times. She did shea butter. Then she did bat earrings because she doesn't have a piercing. And now she sews, but she loves it. She has 3 sewing machines. And she can make a swimsuit today, right? So, but it took her a while to figure out exactly what she wanted, to find it. Yeah. So if you have a child and they start with one thing and they change their minds, just, be a little patient and go with it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we want to thank you for being on the show today. Coming down on Streetpreneur Podcast, and it was definitely a pleasure meeting you. And we wish you and the program much success. And you're always welcome here at Streetpreneur Podcast. And then for those, make sure they contact her to enroll your children in the program, or at least call to inquire about it. And she would definitely take care of you. I want to thank you for coming out. Please hit that like, share, subscribe button, and catch us on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you.